Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga Texas construction update video. Well, hey everybody, I'm back at Giga Texas for a very early morning flight today, and I tried to take advantage of the low clouds and the dark skies a little bit before sunrise to give you some views into parts of the factory that I don't normally get a chance to see. Specifically, I tried to get some views of the Cybercab production line area on the east side of the factory on that second and third floor. There are some windows there and it is visible some of the production line, but because of the power lines, I couldn't get quite as close as I normally do on the west side. Now, I also got a chance to fly on the south side of the building, so we get a look into that glassed continued end of the building and just see what's going on. There's still a lot of empty space in there. The bulk of it is for Cortex 1, of course, and the cooling system, but there's still a lot of space being used for workstations, equipment, and still building out some mezzanines in there. Maybe they're going to be expanding in that part of the factory at some point in the future, but they still have a lot of real estate to go in that part of the factory. We also look on the west side through the tallest parts of the windows. We see some of the kind of the workstations with the robots and the assemblers, and just also a nice great view into the west main entrance with it all lit up with those red lights on the columns, making that kind of plaid symbol for that west entrance. So I hope that you enjoy these views in the main video. While I was here, I also got a chance to see some very interesting Cybercab testing that is continuing here, predominantly looking like they're testing out the production processes of the vehicle leaving the factory and proceeding over to the end of line on the west side. And we got a chance to see that on the north side of the end of line, along the east side as well. It was driving back down that road. I also got a chance to see the Cybercab at a supercharger, and as you can see here, even at the factory, they are using that supercharger receptacle in the back of the bumper on that left rear side. And it looks like for them to open it up, they had to talk to somebody else that was inside the cab, probably on the screen, so that they could plug it in. So that's very interesting, and we've seen that some other people showing that here around Austin as well. The last thing that I do want to talk about here is after the night flight, we got a chance to take a look at several other interesting developments and parts of the site today. First, on the far southwest, they're continuing to remove all of the gravel on that temporary parking lot that was used for contractor parking. And this is related to that permit that I showed you, that they're going to be turning this entire area into a logistics yard, possibly moving the east warehouse on wheels here so that more construction can commence on that east side. Over at the south end of crash testing, the concrete slab has been poured, and it went as quickly as I thought it would, so they're really moving along quickly. On the south end of Cortex 2, they've relocated the Saren's crane. It looks like it's moving its way over to the east side, where we also see, next to the part 1 of the chiller plant with all the fans in it, more of the low screw-type piers and beams, where I think they're going to be putting more mega packs. Now, there is a lot more to see in the video today, from pre-dawn through the windows inside, all the way through to the northeast side, where there's some other interesting activity underway. So I hope that you enjoy the video today. So without further ado, let's get in the drone and see what Giga Texas looks like on this early Wednesday morning. If you would like to support my efforts, please consider using these links, which will be in the video description. If you are interested in Tesla products, you can help yourself and support me by using my referral code. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons on my YouTube video, as this helps as well. Thank you. My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga Texas. Just what a gorgeous morning to fly. Beautiful visibility and night flight and everything lit up. I really do think that Giga Texas is beautiful at nighttime. So what I'm going to do for today's video is I want to show you the west side, looking inside at least a portion of the factory, the one that has most of the biggest changes that we can see, and then we're going to go around the south and then the east side as well. Starting here, this is the battery structural pack section on the third floor, and as I zoom in, it's a great view of all of the activity that's going on here. You see some new kind of black rack kind of mounts on the left-hand side of the screen, separating where there's workstations. We also see a lot of other equipment, and in the background, more of the robotic assemblers. Also, you can see some stuff closer to the screen as well. And as we pass this kind of wall with those black and white valve assemblies and enter into this section, this is where in 2022 the Cyber Rodeo was held, all in this third and fourth floor now, all of which has been added. In fact, this entire part of the building has been completely changed. And now, as you can see, there's a lot of workstations, a lot of yellow robots. We see different mezzanines, different levels of some of the equipment that's installed. And it goes back about 4 columns, and then it has a wall. And behind that is some additional production that continues off to the east of this part of the factory. But what we're seeing here are stations on the third floor now, and we see equipment, manifolds, pipes, and a lot of other equipment on the fourth floor. Now, what these assemblers are, I'm not really sure, but it shows that there's inflow and outflow channels on each of the individual workstations, and you can see they're kind of divided up by those gray, almost like steel frames around each of those workstations. Now they've added that staircase in. There's this door that you can see separating into this part of the factory, and more robotic assemblers on the top floor and additional equipment that looks like it's being installed. And then here we see a lot of crates, and some of them I believe are batteries. But I'm not 100% sure, but you can see what they look like with the wooden crates and also these black crates that go all the way through this part of the facility. If you happen to know what these are, please let me know. Now I'm going to zoom back out. I want to return over towards the west main entrance, mostly because it's lit up beautifully right now. They have these red lights on those beams and columns over the entrance way, and as I zoom in, a great view here. And they have these red lights on from dusk to dawn. So right now, because we're well before dawn, we get a chance to see what it looks like. I love how the trapezoid is underlit with the white lights, and then how the red lights kind of reflect on top, and then you see some of the other white lights on the inside. You can also tell that the beams and columns extend onto the inside as well, kind of mirroring what we see on the outside. A lot of display vehicles as well. There's a Cybercab, a Cybertruck, and I think the full range of the lineup that Tesla has right now, all on display. As I zoom back out, this gives you a great perspective of where those workstations are that we were talking about in relation to the west main entrance, and how this is all really well lit up. If you were driving on the road to the right, the highway, and stopped on the frontage road, you'd be able to see just about the same as I'm showing you here with the drone. Now that I'm back to our point that we kind of diverted back to the west main entrance, I'll zoom back in and show you some more of the workshops here, both on the second floor and on the third floor. Now this extends all the way back on the third floor, many column widths, and this is where much of the Cybertruck is built, at least on this side of the factory. You'll have the robotic assemblers for the body in white. You'll be the robots that make the doors and the fenders and the hood, and a lot of other parts that are then moved down to the first floor for assembly on the Cybertruck truck production line. And this is a great view through here with some of the robots, kind of the red robots on the top of the screen. And gives you kind of that view of what is going on here. And this is that new window line that shows the extension of the building. More robotic assemblers are up on that third floor. Now, as we get to this part of the factory, you'll note that it's very different. It's got a lot of open space, and you'll see kind of like a white structure on the interior. That's Cortex 1, and in addition to that, there's a lot of the cooling system, the pipes, the manifold, the heat exchangers, the pumps, all throughout this part of the building. On the more southerly part, which is where we're coming to now, you'll note that there's a lot of empty space. Also, they've been adding in more of those beams and columns and making mezzanines. They're kind of extending out more of that kind of interior structure on the top of the third floor. And on the bottom of the floor, this is used for workspaces, materials, equipment, and I just wonder, with all of this open space and the fact that kind of the purpose of this extension was changed a few times throughout its history, if we're going to be seeing them repurposing a lot of this part of the factory sometime in the future, because it is a lot of real estate that's in a very prime position of the factory. But as I wrap around the southeast corner, just wanted to show you that they've filled out most of this section with the extra columns and the beams and some of the interior walls. They've also reconfigured kind of the roadway just on the inside next to the glass. Of course, the top floor is still very empty. A nice shot of the cooling system with the vapors coming up out of the fans and the enclosures. And as the light changes, a great shot across to the east side. Now, what I tried to do is be as efficient as possible with my flying. So you'll note that the change is back to a little bit more dark. I actually shot this first because I wanted to make sure I got this part of the site when it was darkest. And the reason why will become evident here very soon. But first, we'll start looking over the retention pond on the bottom of the screen and the natural pond that's remaining. See the earthwork onto the right, and of course the multi-level parking garage. I wanted to zoom in here and take advantage of the lighting just to show you that they do store some Tesla vehicles right around this sort of south wall. On the inside at maybe the 6th level. Some are on some of the other levels as well. People ask, what do they use this for? I mean, it is for employee parking, but they also use it for some new car storage, and they also use it for some other kind of testing. But this is about the best view I can give you into that parking garage. We're going to fly over the material staging yard at the bottom of the screen. It's a little bit dark, so I'm going to continue over towards the main factory. And my goal here is to attempt to try to give you a view into the windows on this side of the factory, which is something I cannot do very often. Now we'll start here at the extension by the cooling system. And as I pan the drone and fly up towards the north, we are entering into where the stamping machine section is. Now these are mostly Schuler presses and some other equipment manufacturers. AIDA is one of them. These presses are huge. They're the size of city blocks, and they stamp out some of the aluminum and steel into body panels that you would see, say, on the Model Y. We also are passing here those two vertical tanks. That's where the Cybertruck production, or Cybercab production is, excuse me. You can see through the second windows. It's very difficult because of my distance that I'm away and the power lines that are in between, but you can definitely tell there's a lot of workstations, some robotic assemblers, a lot of other built-in infrastructure inside this part of the factory that is where much of the Cybercabs are going to be built, or are being built right now. As we continue farther to the north, you'll see that it's changing a little bit more towards storage of equipment rather than production line. It just gives you an idea of how compact that production line is where they do the unboxing versus the size of the factory. So there's still a lot of room to grow inside the factory. The secondary main entrance also has some construction going on in the inside, plus some additional materials. As we continue to pan to the north across these receiving doors, just give you a flavor of what is inside, at least where we can see through the windows. And as we approach towards the north part of the factory, you can see the melt center, the casting machine section, and where we've also seen a lot of the castings on the ground. So I'm going to reposition the drone over the factory. We're going to proceed over towards the end of line facility, and we'll resume at a slightly later time. So you note that the light will be a little bit brighter than it is right now. Okay, so we are resuming here. It's about 45 minutes later than when I was flying over at dark. This gives us a great view of some of the activity with the Cybertrucks arriving here at the site, and also some Model Ys, plus a Cybercab, which is sitting by the wall. Now, I've seen several individual Cybercabs driving over here today. I put out a video a little bit earlier in the morning showing one driving along this route to the south past the Cybertunnel. And I posted that on my X channel if you would like to see that. But for this one, I got a chance to see another Cybercab arriving, and you'll see it at the bottom of the screen. I'll turn the drone around, and we're going to follow it over to the Superchargers, and we'll get a chance to see how they are doing supercharging here at the factory for the Cybercabs. And it's a great clear-in view showing you that they are using the port that's on the lower left-hand side of the rear bumper. And if you pay attention here, as the worker gets out the passenger side, tries to put the charger cable in, he has to ask the person in the driver's side to access the screen to open up some part of the port so that he could plug in. But this is part of continual training that they are doing to test out the production line route from the factory to the end of line, to the processes that they would use to do the final processing of the vehicles before they are shipped to wherever location that they are headed to. So pretty neat to be able to see that, and check out my X channel for that Cybercab drive at night. So I'm going to bring the drone up to a higher altitude. We're going to fly over the West Warehouse on Wheels and look at this clearing material staging yard and contractor parking lot. Also the large area where they're doing excavation work of dirt, and just sort of get an idea of the changes. Now what they're doing is they're clearing out a lot of the materials, moving it farther to the east, and they're having the ground cleared up where you have all of the risers for the conduit, which is for lighting. And over by the supercharger workshop, they have a lot of the lighting already set aside. Here at the contractor parking lot, all of the parking markers have been picked up, all of the trailers except one, most of the fencing, everything that was used for temporary parking has been removed, and now they are removing the upper gravel layer and revealing the dirt underneath. Now what we're going to see a little later in the video is where all of this gravel is being taken, and that's up on the north side by the staging yard for some of the transport trucks. But this is a great view of some of that gravel being picked up, put into the dump trucks, and we will see those again here a little later in the video. But it's very likely that they're preparing this in consideration or in work with that permit that I talked about, where it's talking about a new logistics yard on this side of the site. And I do believe, but we will find out for sure, but I think that's where they're moving the East Warehouse on Wheels so they can do construction on the east side. Now, as I mentioned, the Supercharger workshop, as we drop down here, we can see that they have been building many more of them. There's posts and the cabinets on the left, the workshop itself, and just on the other side of the rounded top of the tent, you could see glimpses of those light poles that they're going to be putting on that southwest corner. As we continue to fly over this orange and white tent, you can see the transformers that are being stored, a lot more of the materials, but I really wanted to just take a look at what's going on here with this clearing. And this is a great lower down view of what's going on. You can see the markers on the ground and some additional work getting ready to start up here today. We're going to fly over the outbound lot back towards the end of line facility. I was hoping to be able to get a glimpse through this open door, but as I arrived, of course, the door is shut. So instead, I think I'll just fly along where the direct delivery vehicles are being staged for more customer deliveries, and over the Megapack charger and this large field. Just take a look at what's going on with material staging. Now, a lot of these steel items have been brought up from that southwest section where they're clearing it out. They're now putting a fence around this, so it makes it look like it's more semi-permanent rather than just a temporary location. In addition to that, they are doing a lot of preparation to extend this material staging yard where we see the Evapco cooler units, a lot more of the steel items, some other building materials. This is a great view of what this is looking like right now. They are bringing in dirt to fill in some of the depression. They've been making ramps here for vehicles, and of course this is where all that gravel is being delivered that's being picked up from that far southwest former contractor parking lot. And the purpose of this, again, I'm not sure. It could be that this is going to be another contractor parking lot and also maybe a staging yard for more materials, at least on a temporary basis. But here's a great view of those two ramps that they built and how all of this is coming together. The place where the transport trucks are stored, and of course a look back to the main factory and the locations that we visited early in the video. So I'm going to get ready to cross back over the highway, and we're going to take a look at what's going on at the electrical switchyard, Cortex 2, the battery cathode plant, and the crash test facility. The lighting really makes it great to be able to look back to the east across the switchyard. You also see a bunch of birds flying right by and near where the drone is. We're getting close to spring, which means that bird migratory season is going to start picking up. And we'll be back to watching for that as I fly around here on the Giga Texas property. But when we get to this point here, you're going to notice there's going to be a light change again. This is about 20 minutes later. I had to relocate from the south to the north, and since it's early in the morning, the light levels are changing pretty rapidly. So that's why that happened. I'm going to fly over the Megapack on the left where all of the conduit and the cables are being put together here on the south side of the switchyard, and look at what is going on here. The cable trays on the left-hand side of the screen are mostly completed. The assembly work of 2 of the 3 large transformers is getting close to being completed, and they're preparing the 3rd slab and catch basin, almost looking like we might see that transformer arriving pretty soon. The footings for the A-frames have been put in on the left-hand side of the screen. The steel for those are on the ground, and then here we see more cable trays, more of the footings for more of the A-frames. And this is going to essentially duplicate what we see on the other 2 bays of this extension. And the bays run north to south, and they're numbered 1, 2, 3 from the west to the east. So I'll bring the drone pan up a little just to show you what all of this is looking like as it's coming together. It's beginning to look like one humongous electrical switchyard, and it's hard to tell now that it used to be half this size. So got a lot of progress that is going on here. I'll pan the drone back over towards Cortex 2, where we see a lot of work on both the west and the north side, east side, and a lot more on the south where the Saren's crane has been moved. First off, we see the clearing on the north side where there's eventually going to be more paving. That small kind of I don't know, dividing wall here on the paving. I thought that we would see the transformers and megapacks all the way down to that, but as I zoom in, you can see that it looks like it's ending here. You see the stripes across where the screw type piers, some of which are on the ground, some on the left that have been installed. They'll be installed in all of those kind of stripes on the asphalt, and that will allow them to install even more megapacks here on the site. And as I keep the zoom in, this is a great view of what this is looking like. Since the Saren's crane is now on the south end of the building, I'm able to get a little bit closer and kind of give this I don't know, better view than I've been able to show in the past because I can get a little bit closer in. But we can see more of the megapacks are being put up onto these trucks for moving around. And I have a theory of why the Saren's crane is on the move now from the west to the east side. And that's because they're making preparations, kind of like I speculated before, for megapacks to be installed on this side of the building as well. And I will point that out here in a moment. Before I get to that, I'm going to zoom in here. I wanted to take a look closer and show you the size of these pipes. Look at the workers to get a sense of scale. These are some of the main water pipes that is part of the cooling system. They're being extended all the way over to this part of the site, as you can tell, next to the temporary chillers, and of course the first part of the permanent chiller system. They are working on the fans, now starting to put in the kind of the slats on each side, as you can tell here, and they're using the two bays on the south for kind of temporary construction, assembly, and storage. As I fly over the fans, I'll look down at one of the manifolds. There's 3 of them. These are almost identical along this side, and we'll see that replicated on the north part 2. And this is where we are seeing those beams put on top of the low screw type piers. And this again looks very much like megapacks are going to be installed here, of course, with the platform and all the transformers that mimics what we see on the west side. So expect to see that on my next video. As we go past this clearing, we'll get to the part 2 of the chiller plant. You can see that most of the concrete walls have been poured. The north one is still being formed for getting more of the concrete poured. Now they're starting to lay the rebar on that center section, and of course the dirt's been spread out now along all of the walls. This will form that base, and then it will be kind of a mirror image of part 1 with the large enclosure and the fan units on top. And these two are going to be mostly responsible for cooling the computers for the AI data center. And of course, this data center is going to be used to train the Optimus robot, and that's why they want to get this up and running by summer. I'm going to continue to fly to the north for one specific reason, not only to give a great overall view of the construction site, but at the bottom of the screen you see this raised tank. That used to be on the south side of the multi-level parking garage in that material staging yard. A few weeks ago it was moved up to this location, and I've had a bunch of viewers ask about that, and I had an eagle eye Patreon, Desi Doolin, who originally noticed that it had been moved up here from that parking lot. So they keep moving that around as the conditions warrant and as things change on the construction site. So you fly over all of these materials and the 2 blue man lifts on the left, the workshop on the right. I wanted to show you that there is some servicing going on at the chiller plant for the cathode building and the die shop. I would expect to see very soon all of the plastic wrapping and this temporary wall structure around the chiller plant to be moved soon, as we are rapidly entering into spring and the threat of freezing temperatures is going away. I'm going to bring the drone up a little bit higher. We'll kind of fly around the south end of the battery cathode plant. It's a great view where River Road or Tesla Road will meet River Road when it eventually comes together at approximately where this small machine shop or maintenance facility is for the concrete companies. And this will be about where that intersection is. This structure is still standing, but barely. And I've been just waiting to see when this is going to be knocked down, because they've pretty much removed all of the equipment, electrical, and other items from the inside, so it's just a shell. Here on the east side of the crash test facility, I noticed that there is resumed work with clearing part of this field. So I'm going to continue to watch this to see what they end up doing, but it could be related to where the crushing operations are for the concrete. Speaking of which, the concrete slab here for the crash test dummy lab, or the anthropomorphic test device lab, the ATD, this has gone about as fast as I thought it would, so pretty soon we'll start seeing vertical assembly. On the south side, we can see the crash test wall has been installed back again for more testing. And of course, vehicles that have had the testing completed being stored here on the west side by the fence. So as I pass up over towards the north part of the crash test facility, looking over the Wade pit and towards the cell test lab, we can see those transformers being stored for the west side of Cortex 2. And as I bring the drone up even higher, a great view of all of the work that is going on here at the far northeast. Now, of course, on the bottom left is all of the concrete that is going to be crushed and then recycled, made into aggregate, and saving all of the rebar. The upper right is the rental equipment lot and maintenance facilities, and that's being cleared out to some degree as well. As I bring the drone down in lower, we can see the operations are well underway. 2 now piles on the right of that aggregate, and they're starting to accumulate more of the rebar that used to be in the concrete. As for those that haven't watched too much, but I've said it a few times, but I'll repeat it here, is a lot of this concrete came from the south end of Giga Texas. It was made into a kind of a parking lot that was used for the original logistics lot, or the outbound lot. That was all removed for the extension of the building, and that concrete was stored in many places here to the north. It's now been accumulated there, and it's being broken up finally. In the hills and valleys at the bottom of the screen, we can see the tracks and some of the disturbed earth. This is where they have done soil test sampling. It's usually associated with construction. So at some point, I think we're going to see this being reclaimed. And this large field is getting a lot more attention as well. We see an excavator on the left next to where that white truck just drove by. We can see some of the grade being kind of affected here, and they are breaking up more of the tree debris that is in this location. So that's a pretty quick look across a lot of the site, including interior looks through the building on this very early morning flight. Looking across the entire site gives you a great sense of just a huge construction project getting ready to start. As always, thank you very much for your support. Have a great day.